The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Pegg, and I am your host for today's webinar, Simple Online Tools to Elevate Your Religious Education Program. Please note that your microphones have been muted. However, we do encourage you to ask questions as they come to you. Please send your questions through the questions box that appears in your GoToWebinar panel. To do this, simply click on the text box, type your question, and click on the send button. This webinar will last approximately 45 minutes. Afterwards, we will have a period of time for questions and answers. Later this evening, you will receive an email asking you to complete a brief evaluation about this webinar, and I thank you in advance for providing us with feedback. For those of you attending this webinar live, information about creating a certificate of attendance will also be forwarded to you later this evening. We will send you another email the next business day or two with instructions on accessing the recording of this webinar and presentation files. Before I introduce our speaker, I would like to open us with a prayer. We do this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father, we are thankful that you have called us to lead and teach students in our schools. As leaders, teachers, parents, administrators, and friends of Catholic schools, we ask that your Holy Spirit would help guide us that we may provide the best environment for students to learn about you and the world around them. Through this webinar, we pray that we are given the tools to enhance our religious education programs and to promote the gospel of Jesus in the life of every student. We ask this in the name of Christ Jesus. Amen. Now I would like to introduce today's presenter. Mr. Shiju John is the Chief Architect and founder of SchoolSpeak. SchoolSpeak partners with schools in developing web-based tools and solutions to meet the needs of faculty, parents, and students. Shiju, you may now begin your presentation.
Thank you, Thomas, and thanks everyone for joining today. I used to work for a large corporation, actually a couple of large corporations, and way back in 2004, our first child was ready for kindergarten. So we had a choice to make. There was a nearby public school, excellent academic records, 5 minutes walk, but we decided to actually go with a Catholic school. That was our tradition in the family, and not just that, we were kind of worried that the same values that we were used to are not properly introduced in the public school system. Now, there's a big difference in actually Catholic schools. There is a lot more parental involvement, a lot more parental communication, volunteering, etc. happening. So once I joined the school, I got involved with the technology, and we were looking for a good solution for our school, and that's how actually we created SchoolSpeak. So this was originally developed for pre-K to 8 Catholic schools, where there is actually a lot more parental involvement, as I mentioned earlier. What we found was actually most other systems were developed for public school systems, and high schools were very complex, etc. Now, there are 3 components to our solution, and I think they are useful in religious education. So I wanted to kind of take you through them in the next 30 minutes or so, and I wouldn't be actually talking anything really complex to us. The solutions how to be really simple that you should be able to kind of look and start using. Now, the 3 components are, the number one is actually holding student and family data, then taking attendance, grades, report card, conduct report, etc. that are essential for school. So you may be wondering actually where these will be useful in a religious education, and we will see them in the coming minutes. Now, our system is actually very focused on online communication. We have an online portal where parents can log in anytime to get all the information that is needed, and our system can do mass email as well as SMS. There are a number of online tools that would be useful. So here are a few: online registration and application, online sign up, online store, payment, etc. So how these will be applicable to religious education? you won't be actually using it the same way, say, the schools would be using. And you'll be wondering, actually, the schools have their own IT staff, resources, etc., and they can actually afford and manage a complex system. But this system, as I mentioned earlier, is actually very simple for you to kind of use for religious education. So these are the things possibly applicable to religious education. We have actually some parishes using our system. So I have actually taken ideas from them, kind of compile this list. Okay. So we will actually go through them one by one and see how you can actually use them in your organization. Okay. So the first one is an online directory. Okay, online directory is actually always very useful. So this is actually just one form or one tool using the online directory. We have actually other tools also. So let's take a close look at here. So here it is actually listing members for a second grade religious education. So this is from Mr. or Mrs. Rosen, okay, as class. And here you can actually see the teachers. So there is only one teacher, then followed by students, and then parents. Okay. So here is actually the details about the teacher. That's Daniel Rosen, so it's Mr. Rosen. And his address, home, mobile number, etc. Now, this is kind of a highlighted, or it has got a gray background with a exclamation over here. And what this means is actually Mr. Rosen doesn't want to share this information with parents or families, but as an administrator, you can actually see. Okay. So the only information he would like to give out is his email, and his email is right here, so that parents can actually use to kind of get in touch with him. These are the groups that he is associated with. So he is associated with the second grade, his classroom, okay, and he is a staff member, and he is also in the religious education program. We will actually see how these would be kind of useful later. Okay. Now here are the students. Maxwell, his parents don't want to kind of share the address, so that's actually kind of highlighted. Okay, so you know actually they don't want to actually use that or give out that information. But they can be, other parents can, in case you make an online directory available to parents, they can actually look them up using the home number and contact them. Okay. And here you can see Maxwell's parents, and he has got a sibling. Okay. So these are a few students. I have to kind of cut down the list so that I can show everything on the screen. And below that, actually, it shows one of the parents too. Okay. Now, there are other tools that make use of this online directory. Say, for example, you can download the information into an Excel spreadsheet, or you can actually create a family directory out of this. And when you create a family directory, it will be using the information whether the address, phone number, etc. can be shared. And based on that, only the shared information it would put in the online directory. So when you click on any name, say for example, if I click on Maxwell over here, that would actually show his details over here. Okay. So here on the top, you have a few options, grades and attendance. Okay, that you probably won't be using that often in religious education, but attendance and grades to some extent can be used. Okay. So in order to update his profile, you can actually click here to go to the profile update and make any edits. Also, his parents will be able to kind of make updates, and you can actually set up a email notification. So whenever something is updated, you will actually get the exact information. Say for example, Maxwell's phone number changed, and this was the old number, and this is the new number. Okay. Here is a print profile. If you want to kind of take a printed copy, you could do that. Okay. You can easily email his parents. When you click on it, it will take you to the email page where you can actually that page will be populated with the parents' email addresses, so you don't really need to look up their email address. And here is deleting the member. and it will ask you whether you want to delete him or the entire family. Okay. You could also kind of leave the students who have left the system in the left families list so that you can actually communicate them or look them up if needed. Okay. So here, if you look at so the address, phone number, home phone number, and the parents, here's for the sibling, etc. over here. If you click on Update Profile, you will actually go to the Profile Update page. Here are the standard fields, okay, that kind of come with the system without you having to do anything. But you can actually add additional fields. You cannot do yourself, but it has to be, you need to basically get in touch with the support who would actually help you to add the right fields for your school. Okay. So let's look at actually the standard fields. So name, the fields for the name, address, phone number, and this is where you as well as the parents can indicate whether they want to share the phone number, addresses, etc. So if they don't want to share the address, they will actually check this checkbox. If they don't want to share the home number, they would check this one, etc. Okay. And you can have multiple emails. Usually the emails are associated with the parents, not with the students. And you can actually have more than one email. You could actually add a number of custom fields that are required for your operation. Say, for example, birthplace. Okay, you may want to actually record their city, state, and sometimes country. Okay, medical information. Do they have any medical conditions, allergies, medication, name of the doctor, maybe phone number, address of the doctor, the name of the hospital, etc. Sacrament dates. Was the child baptized? When was the child baptized? Where was the child baptized? First communion, etc. Okay. Emergency contact. You want to kind of store name and phone number of say 3 or 4 emergency contacts. You can also have out-of-state emergency contacts. Demographics, whether the student is living with the parents, okay, what the religion, race, ethnicity, etc. If you want to kind of do any kind of reporting based on that. Fingerprinting, when was the parents, so that's actually applicable more for parents. When they were fingerprinted, how they attend the training, when they need to basically attend the training again, etc. You can actually record. So these fields can be added based on your need. Here are some examples. So here, the medical information, physician's name, physician's address, physician's phone, etc. For religious education, you may not really need to this level of detail, but this is just an example, okay? Medical condition, etc. Okay? Now, this information can be submitted by the parents the first time when they register online, and it can be transferred to the system, and every year you can actually remind them to update this information. So you can also set a kind of a reminder within the system to remind the parents to update the information every 60 days or 6 months or things like that. Here are some examples of collecting sacrament details as well as demographics, okay? Baptism date, baptism church, etc. Now, one of the reasons why we don't actually add these as standard fields but as custom fields that are turned on demand is that actually we can actually customize them. Say, for example, some of the parishes, they don't want, say, the city or state. They just want to have one field which would say church followed by city and state in the same line. Okay, so you can actually have it on your own way, what you are kind of used to, or what is the most efficient way for your parish. Now, when we looked at the profile, we saw, say, religious education, second grade, communion prep, etc. Right? We call this groups because what this is doing is it's actually grouping people. Okay, you can actually have everybody in the communion preparation with the students, parents, and maybe the teachers and admins in the communion preparation, so that you can actually communicate to them directly. Say, for example, you can actually put a message for the communion prep, and everybody in communion prep will actually receive that. Okay. Now, usually you will have a group per class. Say, for example, if you are actually offering, say, second grade classes on Tuesdays, third grade on Wednesdays, etc., or there are multiple classes, you can actually have a group per class so that you can actually easily address them. Okay. And the religious education, that's actually kind of a master group that will have everybody. So similarly, you can actually have a parish group, staff group, etc. You can actually create any number of groups that you want. Okay. Say, for example, if you have confirmation classes, you can actually add a group for that purpose also. People are, within the system, you can associate a person with another person. Usually the associations are like who's the teacher, say father, mother, and a sibling, etc. And you can actually add additional guardians. The system will actually allow you to kind of add any number of additional guardians. And also the emails work with the guardians. So for example, if you are clicking on, say, email the parents, and it will actually pick up the parents as well as the associated guardians. Here are some examples of additional groups that you can create that would be kind of a useful for your program. Say, for example, altar server. Okay, all the lecture groups. So you can actually use this beyond religious education for some of the parish operations also. Okay. So if you have a set of new families registered for next school year, you can actually put a new families one, or a new second grade, the list of students coming to the second grade. So the idea here is actually you create groups as and when needed to facilitate your operations. So if you have a need for say communicating with say whoever is actually managing the fundraising program, you can actually create a group for them, okay, and have them update the information. You can actually easily email them, look up their information, etc. Okay. We are currently testing mobile apps, so you can actually access a whole lot of information actually offline, even when there is no internet connectivity. Okay. You can actually look up, say, you can press a button and call the person or email directly from your mobile phone also. Okay. So email is actually a very powerful tool. It becomes integrated. So you can actually use the groups that we saw earlier. You can actually pull up a person and email, or you could actually email an entire group. So this particular email, it is actually sent by me, and I can have the replies to the email go out to someone else. Okay, and that is actually sometimes very useful, because you may be sending this email on behalf of someone, maybe the communion prep coordinator, and she is probably currently traveling, and you want the replies to kind of go back to her so she can actually check and directly get in touch with people. So you would actually select her email over here. Okay. And here this email is actually going to religious education, everybody involved in all the parents involved in religious education, all the staff members, all the communion parents. So even though you are actually putting the students, teachers, parents, etc. into the same group, you can actually separate out the parents while you are emailing, or you can actually separate out the teachers, etc. So like any other email program, you just put in the subject and you type in the message. You can actually do some formatting. You can embed links, etc. You can also attach files. Say, for example, here is a flyer. Okay. If you want to add another attachment, you can click here to add another attachment, or remove an attachment you added by mistake. You can click on remove. If you want to check whether you have added the right attachment, you can click over here to kind of verify it, etc. You can also add an email signature, so that, say, we can put something at the bottom of the email in all the emails using the email signature. Now, when you are sending email, how do you actually select the groups or the people? Okay. So what you need to do is actually just click on the to button, and it will actually give you a couple of options. On the top, you can actually see all the groups. So if I want to, say, send this email to community prep parents, I will select community prep here, parent here, and click on add to, and they will be added. Okay. Also, if I want to actually pick up few individuals, I can actually change here, pick up the group, see the members, and click and add them to the email also. Okay. So you can actually select the names, and that would automatically pull up their email address. And remember, a person can have more than one email. Here is how you can actually send text messaging. So I need to kind of mention one thing. For us to do the text messaging, parents have to indicate what their carrier is, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, etc. Okay. And there are no additional charges for sending out email. The text message, because the text message goes out as email. But the parents may incur charges for receiving the text message. Okay. So we have an option on the top which would say whether it's an emergency message, because some of the parents have opted only for emergency communication. Okay. So if it is anything urgent, you would actually check this message. Again, you will actually click the to button and select the groups or the people you want to send the text message to. You type in the message, which has to be a brief message for SMS. Okay. And you can indicate whether you want to receive the replies to your mobile phone as SMS, or you want to receive as email. Okay, so if you get charged for every SMS, you want to actually select the email. Otherwise, maybe SMS would be a lot more faster. Okay. Now, so we saw how you can actually store information about the students' families for your religious education. How you can actually separate them into different groups so that you can easily address them. Okay. And also how you can actually email and send text messages. Okay. Now, the system also has an online portal. That means parents can actually log in and get the information for them. Okay. And you can actually issue them login and password. And the login and password will, so they can use the same login and password as long as the child is within the religious education program. So if I have 3 kids, they may be associated with religious education program for more than 20 years, and they can actually use the same username and password for all those 10 years. Okay. And whenever they log in, they get personalized information for them. The information that applies directly to them. So here, I have logged in as a parent with just a child in the 2nd grade religious education program. So once I log in, I get the messages that are applicable to the whole religious education program on the top, and the 2nd grade over here. So if I have another child in, say, for example, 4th grade, or in, say, the confirmation preparation class, etc., I will see further sections below. Okay. Now, the idea here is this gives me all the information that is applicable for me. So I can anytime log in over here and get all the current information. And it's also date-based. So right now it is actually showing, say, yesterday's, or by default actually it will show today's information. Okay. And you can actually change the date to see previous information, etc. So this is like a diary. It is actually organized for the parents so that they can easily find information. So there is no complaint that actually they didn't see, or where do I register for religious education classes, or what is the deadline for doing such and such, okay, etc. Everything actually they can get on a single page. They don't have to say click or search around through the pages. Everything actually in a single page. So let's take a look at this a little more closer. Okay. So at the top is actually a banner. We'll talk about this one when we talk about the Disciple of Christ program. Okay. So here is actually information about the religious education, or basically information for everybody in the religious education program. Okay. So any messages that are applicable, like calendar events, announcement, registration, etc., will show up over here. Okay. Now, even if there is no calendar event, if I want to access the calendar, I can click on the left. So left actually gives me the links for the options, but any applicable messages are shown on the right side over here. Okay. And what I need to do is just like email, just look at them and click to read or get more information. Okay. Now, when I go down, I see the second grade. Okay, and here confirmation classes announced. Okay, and the preparation for reconciliation. There is a reminder. The kids have a homework. They are supposed to read a Family of Saints book. And usually you won't have a report card or a completion certificate in the beginning, so I just put it as an example. And we will take a look at this in detail. And here you can actually see some options. Okay, so this is something that is used during the Lenten season. And here is the Disciple of Christ, the contact report, attendance, etc. The tools for the classroom. Here is a sample announcement. You can actually create the bulletins like this. Okay. And you can actually use one of our templates to make it a little more colorful. Okay. You can add attachments. You can actually have the families acknowledge so that you can actually track who is actually seeing it or reading it, and also have them kind of acknowledge if it is an important announcement. Okay. You could find out actually who has not acknowledged, and if you want to kind of communicate via email, there is an easy way to do that. You click on it and you can actually send an email to families who have not read or not acknowledged. Okay. You can, once the information is posted, you can actually click on the email and send out the announcement via email. Okay. Now we will talk about when you should actually email and when you should actually put information online. So our recommendation is I always put information online, post it online, and if needed, send via email. Okay. Why post information online? Because that way it is easy for anyone to find information. They can just log in and it is there, right there in front of their eyes, neatly organized. Here is an example of using a calendar. Again, you can there's an online calendar. You can actually add events like this. Say, for example, this is a communion preparation classes that runs through, say, February to March, okay, 4 to 5:30 p.m. And it repeats every Tuesday and ends on, say, end of March. Okay. Now, these calendars can be synced with Outlook or Gmail or mobile device calendars, so it will be easier for parents to kind of have that reminders automatically added to their calendars, whatever calendars that they daily use. Here is an example of posting policies, documents, etc. That's also, you can actually put it online. Okay. And remember, you can actually add the pictures, you can actually add attachments, videos, etc. also. Okay. Now, why is actually online posting better? So the reason is actually email. If you send out email, sometimes a few days in advance or a few weeks in advance, you are kind of expecting everyone to store and pull out that email when they need. And sometimes it happens that you would actually send one email, then with additional information you would send another email. Sometimes there are changes, and the parents may not always actually pull the right email. Okay. And some people are very organized. Some have very difficult time in actually finding the right email, or they don't even remember. But online posting actually kind of presents all the information they need to know at that moment, okay, including calendar events, announcements, registration, everything in one place. So they can just log in and it works like a diary. It would actually give them the information that is applicable now, or they can look ahead or look back, etc. Emails are actually very useful for getting immediate attention. Okay. And it kind of works like a task list because if you look at the emails, they are kind of stacked up, right? You have a read or unread email. You try to basically read all the email and take care of that one. Okay. So there is a nice element to the email that is very useful. So our recommendation is actually post everything online, and important information you can forward via email, or we have a summary email which you can turn on, and summary email can actually send daily summary or weekly summary. Now in your case, mostly you would need a weekly summary email, probably not that much communication, so you need a daily summary email. Okay, so here is an example how you can actually use the attendance in your classroom. So this is the same attendance book that the teachers use, okay? But you can actually have your own attendance codes, okay? And as an administrator, you can actually switch from one attendance module to another, and by default, it will actually pull up that particular day. So this was actually last Sunday, okay? And you would actually put an A for absence or whatever the code that you define. This can be totally customized. Say if you want to put a V for vacation, you could do that. Okay, you could also put a comment. Okay, so Axel was sick. His mom emailed that coming. Connor was tardy. He was supposed to be there at 9. He came in at 9:16 a.m. And Emily is on vacation. Okay. And you can also see the number of absences in the current term. So Connor has been absent 2 times. He was never been tardy. So this is the first time he is tardy, etc. Okay. Now you can easily have a teachers update this information when the class begins or later. If everybody is present, they have to just click all present. Otherwise, just put in the code and click on save to record the attendance. Okay. You could also use gray books, but you would actually use the gray books differently. Okay, you wouldn't say, for example, say this child is doing very well, so he has got a 90% on the religious education or whatever. Sometimes you may say, okay, this is not really useful. That is fine. So in case you have some teachers who are interested in using, but here the way you would actually record the assessment would be kind of a totally different. And actually, this is a new scheme employed by elementary schools. It's called standard-based grading, and these are the standards. Okay. The difference is, say for example, say in the traditional grading method, you could say Emily got 80% for math in second grade. Okay. Now in standard-based grading, you would be kind of saying it differently, where you would say, for in math, Emily is very good and excellent in say addition, but she makes some mistakes in subtraction. So that's actually recording each skill or assessing each skill or indicating each skill level. Okay. So you could actually use standards like this in your religious education. So I took this from Diocese of San Diego. This is actually these are the standards used in their second grade religious education. Actually, not religious education. So in their normal classrooms for religion. Here, under creed, understands and applies creed as a statement of belief. He explains meaning of faith as lived as a lived response. Okay. So you can actually have a various standards listed like this, which you want to cover in the classroom. And you can actually say assess the kids using the scale, like say M means meeting the standard, P means progressing towards there is more to cover. Okay, E means exceeds the standard, etc. So you can, and these are the different terms: first term, second term, third term. So this is a snapshot after the second term. Okay. Now let's see actually how you can use the grade books to record these assessments. So here is a sample. So I just picked 6/15 as the date. You can actually use today's date. You can actually say what kind of a assessment you did. You click over here and pick up the standards. These are the standards picked up. Okay. And then for each student, you can actually indicate what is the skill level for that particular standard. Okay, so this is initial progress IP. M is actually meeting the standard. Now you could actually define your own metrics. So if you are on marking code, okay. And you can also put comments. You can put comments that can be shared with the parents, or that can be private only to teachers. So both options are there. Here is an example of a completion certificate. This is actually from one of the parishes in the Diocese of Columbus, Ohio. Okay, so they track the classroom behavior, effort, classroom knowledge. So this is actually the subject matter that is taught. Okay. For classroom behavior, they have a various standards that they evaluate classroom effort, etc. Okay. So I could only show, say, a portion of the certificate. So the certificate actually starts like this, and here is a snapshot from the second page where you can actually put a comment. Okay. Now, it is actually very easy to do something like this if you have the right tools. So this is how the teachers would enter the data. So here, this is actually classroom knowledge section. And that is over here. Okay, Jesus loves me and wants me, etc. Okay, and here it is. The teacher can actually click and select the marking code. Okay, and she can actually fill for every child, then make adjustment for individuals. And once she completes this, press a button. That would actually create the report like this. Now you can print them, or you can actually have the parents access this information online. Both options are available. Okay. Now let's look at the Disciple of Christ. So this is a program originated from Michigan. So this was started by Sister John Dominic, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And she has been very supportive of our efforts, and she is actually letting the schools use these tools free of cost. Okay. You can actually get more information about this program, educationinvirtue.com website. Okay. Now, this has got 3 different components. The first component is a banner, which you can actually put on top of the page. Okay. And it talks about the different virtues. This banner will rotate, so every week there will be a new virtue. Okay, so this week it's foresight. Okay, and the explanation of that, and it looks like, sounds like, and a gospel verse. Okay, and you can click here to kind of learn more about it. Now, one of the tools is actually this is for rewarding the kids. If they do something nice, you observe something special about the child, you can actually print a certificate for the child, and you can post it online, share it with the parents online, or you can print and send home. Okay. So here, the virtue exhibited by the child is kindness. Okay. And the child's name, you can actually put a small message, okay, and print the certificate, and so the kids would be really happy to kind of receive something like that. And this is how you actually generate that. You basically select the kid in your class, okay, whom you want to kind of create the certificate for, who the teacher is. Okay, and and you want to create a certificate, and what is the virtue for which you are awarding the certificate, and the explanation, and you can actually click on update, you can publish online, or you can print, or you could actually do both. And you can say, you can let the parents acknowledge online. Okay. So the other component of the Disciple of Christ is like when you observe incidents, and kind of you want to give them a warning. Okay. So here I selected Emily, okay, and I want to actually kind of record the incident, and you can actually have this shared with the parents. You can actually, some of them you can actually hide it from the parents if you think actually you observed something, but probably it is not time to talk to the parents. You talk to the child, and you want to actually give the child a chance. And if the child is exhibiting the same issues, again, you want to actually bring the parents into the loop. Okay. So once you complete this, this is how the parents will see it online. Okay. Other teachers also can see it. And if I am another teacher, I can also add a comment to it, okay, so that the teachers can kind of record information. Okay. If you are a teacher, you would actually see an additional option whether you want to share this comment with the parents or not. Okay. Now, if I am a parent, I can also add a comment and sign it. Okay. So you can say, okay, sorry this happened. I will actually talk to Emily, etc., and you can sign it. And I wouldn't be seeing this if I am a parent. This is only for teachers. Okay. We also have a powerful conduct report, and here is some example that is being used by schools. Okay. So you can actually have a custom form, totally customized for you however you want to have it. Okay. So here is an example of, say, general conduct violation. Then you can select the consequences. Again, this can be totally customized, so you can actually design something that would work well for your program. There are additional tools that you can use. One is actually online application. So online application can be created on our system, and you can actually put a link on the website, so it is actually publicly accessible. So parents can actually submit the information for the religious education program or sign up for it. Say, for example, here parent name, additional parent name, telephone number, student name, date of birth, etc. Okay. Now, remember, this can be totally customized. You can easily add or remove fields, and you can actually totally customize for your purpose. And if you have a, this can actually model the paper form you're currently using if you have one. And once a student is actually accepted, the information that they submitted in the application will flow into the system. So you don't really have to enter this manually or work on a tedious task of transferring them. It can be made immediately available to the system. The difference is actually the application is a first-time application. As long as they are with the system, they can do re-registration every year. And you can have the parents pay the fees online. So at the end of the page, you can automatically calculate the fees, and there is an option for parents to pay online, or they can send in a check. You could also invoice them for any kind of a payments, so sacrament preparation fees. The beauty is actually, say here, you can select everyone in the sacrament preparation or in the second grade, and you can charge them $30. And this can be emailed to the parents. Okay, you can actually let them pay online, or they can send in a check, and you can actually record online. The idea here is actually a single system that can also show the payments. So that way, actually, it is complete, so they can see everything in one place. Okay. Sign up is another powerful tool. Okay. Here, this is a sign up for altar servers. So you have actually listed the masses for the weekend: Saturday Vigil Mass, Sunday. Okay. And you need 2 altar servers. You can actually pre-assign them. Okay. And additional people can actually add to standby. And say Kevin, if he is not able to attend, he can actually request a substitution. If you request a substitution, that would actually show up online over here, and someone else can actually sign up. Now, if there is an empty spot, it shows me a sign me a button, and I can click on it and sign up for it. Okay. And if you have an important, they cannot remove themselves without a substitute. So the system is, and also you can actually have the system automatically logged few days before, etc. So it has got a number of options that you can customize for you. So you can actually use this for scheduling lectures and other volunteers too. Online sales. So this is an example I took from our parish. They had a Sacrament dinner a couple of months back, okay, and this was actually the online registration for that. So just put in the name, phone number. So how many adults tickets you need for different options, how many child tickets you need, and at the end of it, it would calculate and tell you this is the total payment, and they have an option to pay online. Here is an example of an online store selling Christmas items. Okay, you can actually add items and indicate the amount parents can actually select, and they don't really need to have a login to do this one. So you can put a link to your public website where the families can actually click and come to our system and sign up, also pay things online. So that's pretty much actually all the different cases I wanted to kind of introduce to you, just to kind of give you a sample taste of a system like SchoolSpeak can be used for your religious education program. Okay, having the right tools is kind of very important. Okay, and you don't really need to undergo a lot of training, and it is not a very complex system. Okay. So at this time, actually, we will open up for questions. So if you have any questions, Thomas, could you read out any questions we already have?
We actually do not have any questions at this time, but I would like to remind you, the audience, that if you do have a question, you can go ahead and type it into the chat box and hit send, and it'll come directly to me, and I can read it out loud for Shiju to answer. All right, we just had a question pop up, and it says, how does this complement ParishSoft?
So right now we don't have an integration with the ParishSoft. You can actually export data and import into SchoolSpeak. That is something we might actually look into in the future. Okay, ParishSoft actually helps you do the day-to-day administration. It has got a lot of data fields you can update, etc. And here you can actually complement with online communication as well as the online tools that families can use for interacting with the religious education program. So PariSoft has got an export feature which you can actually use to import the students as well as the parents into our system.
All right, we have another one that just popped up. Is there a demo system that we can play with to look further at the features?
So we do actually online demos for anyone interested. So here are actually the contact details, and you could actually ask for a trial account. So we offer like a 60-day trial. So they will set up a system for you where you can actually play around and see whether that is something useful for you, okay, or whether easy to use. So just contact us through info@schoolspeak.com or call the 877 number, or if you go to our website, there is a link to kind of get in touch with, so you can use any of those to kind of get in touch with us, and we will set up a trial account for you. We also have a demo account, so if you sign up for a demo, we will actually show you how to use the system online, so you can ask specific questions, and they would kind of use the demo system to answer those questions. So you can do online demo, or you can actually request for a trial account.
All right, thank you for that. I do not see any other questions coming in right now, so I think at this time we will conclude today's webinar. But before we do so, I would like to invite everyone to visit the NCEA website. When you do, you'll notice that we have a new updated look to ncea.org, and so I encourage you all to go over there and take a look at that. We also have more webinars coming up. I think we have at least one a week now. So please go ahead and look at our webinar calendar and look for all of the good events coming up with that. Thank you again for spending your time with us today, and thank you to Shiju for all that you have shared with us. As a reminder, we will be sending this recorded webinar and presentation slides in another day or two by email. Thank you again, and I hope you all enjoy your afternoon.